Hey guys, Cam here from PhoneDog.com, and whenever a company releases a mid-range phone, there's always that worry that there's going to be something pretty major wrong with it. But over the last year, a lot of different manufacturers, mostly making phones for Android, have created some really good phones that don't cost that much money, about 2/3 or even half the cost of a flagship. The latest one from Nokia is the 830, the Lumia 830. It's one of the newest Windows Phone devices on the market, and it sits somewhere in between the low end and the high end of the market, right in the middle. So I wanted to see how good it was and what compromises there were. Here's our full review. Looking at the design first, and more specifically at the thinness, it's 8.5mm thin. That's 1.3mm thinner than the flagship Lumia 930, and only 0.4mm thicker than a Galaxy S5. It has an immediately familiar look too. It's essentially a slimmed down version of the Lumia Icon or 930. It's incredibly solid, well constructed, and because of its slimness and matte curved rear cover, it's very comfortable in hand. What I particularly like is that the rear cover looks like it could be part of the phone's actual body, part of the makeup, but it's actually removable. And that means you can swap out the battery. It also means you can swap out memory cards and expand the storage. And the rear cover comes in 4 different colours. They have bright orange, bright green, white and black. It's every bit as premium looking as its big brother. The only hint at cheaper design are the plastic surrounds on the headset jack and USB port. The camera button, the lock button and the volume buttons on the right hand edge feel very sturdy and well made. It's a top-notch design and build on a mid-range phone. And that's not something you always get. And if there's one noticeable area where Nokia's saved money, it obviously is on the screen. And even that's not terrible. The 720p AMOLED 5-inch screen is clear enough. It's even pretty sharp. Text does look very slightly fuzzy at times, but it generally performs well. Has a pixel density of just under 300 pixels per inch. The one area it falls short noticeably is in brightness. It's noticeably dimmer than most phones sat on my desk, and whites are a little pinkish, especially when you view it at an angle. But the lack of brightness also means colours don't really pop. They're not very vivid on the screen, and they're also not that natural looking either. They sometimes come off as a little bit oversaturated. Nevertheless, the display does a good job of displaying great graphics, like on games like Mirror's Edge and Cut the Rope and Minion Rush. I didn't really notice that it was poor. Not really. It's when you get onto the camera that it's perhaps surprising, not because it's a Nokia, because obviously Nokia are renowned for making great cameras, but because of its price. It's a mid-range phone, and yet it has a 10 megapixel Carl Zeiss lens with built-in optical image stabilization. The 10 megapixel PureView camera is awesome. You can get some really great, beautiful stills with the 830. It shines in low light too, thanks to the manual shutter speed and ISO controls in the software. As a comparison, I took the 830 out with the iPhone 6 Plus in low light, and the differences were quite staggering. Providing you can hold your phone really still or mount it to a tripod, you can get some incredible light levels in low light, thanks to being able to boost the shutter speed up to a massive 4 seconds. If there's one area where the camera doesn't necessarily shine, it's, as always, in the same place. It's the video quality. It can record in 1080p, but it's a little bit slow to respond to exposure levels. Also not easy to focus, and it doesn't seem like a very smooth frame rate. That said, overall performance in still photography is easily one of the best on the market, and not just in the mid-range sector. The 830 comes shipped with the latest version of Windows Phone. And the great thing about Windows Phone is that it works well across the device range. Even if you've got a really low-end device, it's generally quite smooth. Action Sensor and Cortana make it really useful, and it performs well. It's pretty reliable. It has some cool features like the Lumia selfie and live images, but the area that Windows Phone needs to improve doesn't really need stating again. It needs more third-party support. We need more, better apps, because it still isn't even close to competing with Android or iOS on that front. That said, the number of mainstay apps like Facebook, eBay, and PayPal have all made their way across now, so the difference isn't as big as it used to be. The Lumia 830 is another one of the devices using the impressive 400 series Snapdragon quad-core processor. It's generally quite smooth and transitions well between apps. The one area where the phone did feel a little bit slow is loading web content, and that's surprising because it's built in with some of the latest wireless technologies, including Category 4 LTE. It doesn't have wireless AC yet, but it does have A, B, G and N, so it should be plenty quick enough. And sometimes when I was scrolling through some lists there was a noticeable stutter, but not enough to make it a terrible experience. Battery life is pretty good too. It may be only 2,200 mAh, but with light to medium use I easily got through a day. Sometimes more depending on usage. It may have its compromises, but the Lumia 30 for me is the best all-round Windows Phone device on the market. The Lumia 830 isn't just one of the best mid-range Windows phones around, it's one of the best Windows phones ever made. In fact, I prefer this to the 930. I like the way it's slim, I like the way it feels in hand. I like that I can take the battery out and put a memory card in. I love the camera. The display might not be amazing, but everything else more than makes up for it. I've been Cam, I'm at phonedog_Cam on Twitter. You can follow me on there, ask me any questions you like, and I will see you again soon.